See, you're right.
Yeah, good, Michael. Yeah, thank you.
How's the team news after that plastic pitch Sunday and everyone else?
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, it takes a fair bit out of the players, so we've had to do some extra recovery. We're not training till this afternoon, give the boys a good chance to recover because pitch takes a bit out of you. The only one who picked up an injury was Timo. He picked up a hamstring injury. We're just waiting on the results of that scan. And then everyone else sort of, like I said, apart from being sore, pulled through okay. And in terms of incoming, Richie is available.
Mick Arteta's mentioned a few injuries for them this morning, but it's been a real tough few months in terms of injuries here. Are we at a stage now, special as this game is, let's just play it? There's no good or bad time to play it. Let's just get this great game underway.
Well, you've got no choice. That's the fixture. So, you've got to accept it. And, we've been in a situation for quite a while now. And obviously, hopefully some light at the end of the tunnel in terms of players coming back. Like I said, Richie, and it's good for Mikey to get an hour on the weekend, whenever it was. Lost track of days. Situation is what it is. But big game tomorrow night, and big game for the club, big game for our season, big game for our supporters. So looking forward to it.
Mentioning Richie, obviously you said as well you need to look after him. It's been a while. Where are you in terms of bringing in another forward? Obviously that's the key. You've mentioned how far down the line are Spurs in that.
Well, it's hard to say. Like most other clubs, it's January is a difficult month to kind of really have any certainty about anything. Like I said, when there's a lot of things that need to come together, but I think I said last week that the club's working really hard in that area, and if there are any developments, we'll let everyone know.
Because of the injuries, is it closed door on outgoings, or if an opportunity arises, there's talk about Napoli potentially interested in Timo Werner, but with the injuries, is it a closed shop?
Yeah, we can't afford to let anyone go at the moment. I mean, look, obviously some of the young players, Alfie Dorrington went out on loan, and probably looks similar for young Will as well, because he hasn't really played a lot. But aside from that, we're looking at incomings if anything happens.
Funny, you get a late Christmas present at Tamworth, I saw, just as you were walking in. That's nice, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, they got me a nice mug, coffee mug with my face and Andy's face on it. Couple of handsome blokes. I can look at that and remember that game fondly. Yeah, thank you. Good people.
Cheers, Ange.
Alex. Hi, Ange. Your fourth North London derby. Would you say the rivalry has intensified for you during your time here?
Look, I felt it was intense, from the moment I arrived. But, at the same time, I've never tried to be disingenuous about this stuff and say, this means the world to me when I've literally just arrived. I mean, but you get the context of the game and what it means to the club and what it means to the supporters, and also what it means for our season. So from that perspective, right from the first time we played them, I was well aware. I mean, a bit like being up in Glasgow, you're well aware of what it means, and you're well aware of the ramifications of both the positive and the negative. So I've been sort of big on it from the first game. Like I said, this year is as big as they ever come, especially for us in our season. We need to start winning games in the league, and no better place to start.
On that note, what could a win do for your season? Do you think it could be a turning point?
Yeah, look, I don't like sort of framing games in terms of turning point, because then you've got to, then we could go up to Everton and face David on the weekend. So there's no easy games, but in the position we're in at the league at the moment, irrespective of turning points or not, we need to start winning games and moving up the table. And whilst it's a massive challenge tomorrow night, like I said, there's an opportunity for us to do that.
Just finally on Kinski, he's the first Tottenham keeper in 100 years to keep 2 clean sheets in his first 2 games. Not sure if you knew that.
Okay, right, well, no, I didn't know.
Thanks to the stats man. It was the stats man that told me that.
Okay, good.
Obviously a huge test for him against Arsenal. How involved are you with him, or do you sort of leave it to the goalkeeping coach?
No, look, I as involved as anyone else, and to be fair, like they've all been big games for different reasons for him. Obviously the Liverpool game goes without saying, but it was a hell of a challenge for him up in Tamworth too. especially with the way they play and their ability to sort of put pressure on goalkeepers up there. I thought he handled it so well, and helped us kind of nullify what was a big sort of threat from them. So look, he's handled everything really well. I haven't spent any extra time with him. Birchie obviously has, and part of the process is, because it has been a bit of a whirlwind, is to make sure he's kind of settled as well, even off the field. Because he's moved to a different country, and just trying to sort of manage, sort of everything around him as well is probably just as equally as important. But so far, like I said, he's been really good at embracing the challenge we've thrown him, and I'm sure he's looking forward to tomorrow as well. Thank you.
Hi, Ange. Just wanted to ask you about Lucas Bergvall. Before he joined last summer, I went to speak to his former club, and they said they reckoned it would be about 6 months before he fully adapted to the Premier League and the pace and the physicality. Do you feel like we're in that spot now where he's really becoming a player that you can look to in every game to start, really?
Yeah, look, I think he's definitely growing, and he's definitely, which is not unusual. Like he's 18, coming from a different country and a different league. It was always going to take him a little time to adapt, for sure. Just the training more than anything else. But we've certainly seen growth in him, and in recent weeks he's really making an impact now, and I think he feels more comfortable and more confident in himself. But there's so much more to come from him, like I said, with his age and where he is experience-wise. But it's been a big year for him. Like I said, moving to a new country, obviously a big league, a big club. Even getting to the senior national team, Sweden, as an 18-year-old. All these things are pretty big and significant moments, and you kind of look at how young people handle them, and I think he's handled it all really, really well in that. He's just kept his head down and kept working and waited for his opportunity, and he's doing well.
I was going to ask you that. Kind of players like him and Archie as well, what is it about them kind of mentally that allows them to adjust that quickly to such a big stage, really?
Well, I guess it's just upbringing and sort of the kind of people they are. It's sure it's a bit of DNA, a bit of nurturing, a bit of environment, a bit of everything, and it's a big part of sort of what we've tried to do in terms of the players we've brought in here, and those two, and Mike, who's only 17, and even guys like Kinski and Destiny and Pape, all these Mickey van der Ven, who come across as young players. I think all of them, whatever challenge we've thrown them, irrespective of kind of where they are right now, because obviously a few of them are injured, but they've handled it really well from being a young person in significant moments.
How important a game is this to have Richarlison back in? Because it's fair to say he likes a fiery encounter, and this is obviously one of those.
Just good to get him back. He's had obviously some unfortunate season for us, but last year when he played, and even a little bit he played this year. I mean, he was when he did his hamstring, you can see it's not just he fights and scraps for everything, but he's got quality as well, and just having an extra attacking player. I mean, like I said, with him and Mikey now sort of being available makes such a difference to us in what we can do during games, between games, in terms of the way we play. We've taken our time with him this time, for sure. He's been harassing me for the last sort of 10 days to be involved. But we've kind of tried to stay disciplined with that, and he's looked really good at training. He looks like he's ready to go, so really happy to get him back involved.
Hi, Ange, hope you're well. Just looking at the Arsenal team, they've got a few injuries going into this match. Do you have a bit of sympathy with Arteta, especially? It looks like Gabriel Jesus has an ACL problem.
Yeah, I don't know. How much sympathy have they all had for me, mate? I'm not really sure. So, I certainly have empathy. That's probably a better word, because I can't understand how challenging it is for any team, irrespective of kind of the size or quality. And I guess with all these things, it's the where the injuries hit and the areas they hit and the significance of who the injuries are to all make it challenging. But I'm sure Mikel is not going to let that get in the way of him putting out a team tomorrow night that will want to beat us.
Yeah, you say where the injuries have hit, and for you it's been a lot about the defence, but I think for them it's sort of centering around the attack, and they're getting a lot of criticism around sort of not scoring enough goals. Do you sort of, is that part of it as well, where you can look at it and say, we've had a bit of that sort of criticism, and what are the reasons behind it as well, do you think, for teams losing these players in these positions?
Yeah, look, I've said in the past, you've always, I always, put context around, how you analyse and critique performance, and others choose not to. They just purely go on outputs, and if you look at a team and they lose and they don't score goals, well, it's poor play or poor players or poor coaching, whatever. Where I think in the context of cohesion, fluidity, if you've got injuries and disruptions, that does affect what you do. But I think, look, I've said before, I think we've obviously been hit really hard, but they're starting to accumulate for most clubs. I'll be very surprised if any club goes through unscathed the way the season is going so far. Bournemouth have had a couple now. Brighton. There's a few clubs who are now starting to rack up a few of those. Obviously us with our fixture schedule, we've probably been hit harder than most. But like I said, I'll be surprised if any club comes through unscathed this season.
On the sympathy and empathy front, was the sort of cynical side of you maybe a bit happy that they played 120 minutes against Man United ahead of this game because you also had to do the same?
I'm not a cynical kind of person, mate. I enjoyed the game. I enjoyed the theatre. I thought it was a cracking game, cracking cup game, and two sides going at it, and enjoyed it.
Hi, Ange. The rivalry with Arsenal became quite a big theme when you played Manchester City in May, with some Spurs fans seemingly wanting their team to lose or content for their team to lose. I just wondered what you learnt about the North London sort of rivalry from that experience.
Nothing I didn't already know. I mean, it's I said at the time, I totally understand it. I don't agree with it. I would never go into a game wanting to lose. That was the basic principle. It didn't mean I don't understand the rivalry between the teams. Trust me, when I was in, I was up at Celtic. There was only one other result they looked at, and if their weekend was going to be perfect, then it meant an L for the other team and a W for us. That was a perfect weekend, not just the W for us. So I understand that, but still doesn't mean I'll go in any game wanting to lose. I don't care what the fallout is from it.
You said after that game that you felt the foundations here were really fragile, that 48 hours, that experience had taught you that. Could you just elaborate on what you meant by that?
Mate, you're going back a bit, seriously, and you're plucking out probably a quote out of context, but there's been a hell of a lot that's happened since then, and right now we're in a different place. We're kind of dealing with different things. I still believe, as I said recently, that there's been growth in the team, but that hasn't been matched by results and consistency of results in the league. So we need to rectify that. That's got to be our main priority right now. And notwithstanding that, like I said, I think we've seen some growth, and hopefully with some light at the end of the tunnel in terms of players coming back. Hopefully that means we can sort of look at this back half of the season as something where we can make an impact.
I feel then that the foundations are firmer now than maybe they were then.
Yeah, look, again, mate, you're asking me to comment on a quote. I don't even remember the context, but yeah, if you want to sort of frame it that way, yeah, okay.
Finish this section with George, please.
Hi, and pardon me. Mikey's illness sort of come at an unfortunate time for him, because I presume he would have got a lot of minutes over these last 2 months. He is only 17, but obviously with Timo out, how kind of ready is he to come back and make an impact over these next few weeks?
Yeah, look, he's worked hard at training, and you could see on the weekend he needed some game time. He started off pretty slowly, but by the second half, I thought he sort of grew into the game, and look, we used him significantly in the first half of the year, and he made a real impact, particularly in Europe. I thought he did really well, and we expect him to do. I mean, that's why we kept him with us. That's why he's part of the first team setup, and like I said, it's good to get him back, because he is a player who we know can make an impact in games.
and you took some stick at Tamworth, didn't you? In very good spirit as well. You're going to get more pelters, I'd imagine, tomorrow night. Is that not going to really compare to Tamworth, or just something you brush off?
Yeah, look. As I said after the game, credit to Andy and his players and the people at Tamworth, the football club. I thought they did themselves proud on the day with the way they presented everything. 90% of the crowd were very good and enjoyed the banter. There was 10% that were pretty unacceptable. The stuff I heard was pretty vile and detestable, and getting things thrown at me. Not a great experience, mate. But we're expected to be the bigger person. I would love to turn around and not be the bigger person in that moment, but you deal with it and you go on.
And just finally from me, start of this season, there was talk about how you didn't win away at a top six club last season, and you obviously ticked a few of those boxes, won at both Manchester clubs and beat Liverpool in the Cup and Man City in the Cup. How much would you sort of love for a win at Arsenal? This team, the club's not won it at Arsenal since 2018, to be the next sort of thing this group of players can tick off.
Yeah, look, all these things are challenges we need to overcome. And look, everything to one side, it's a derby, it's a big game. So irrespective of what's gone on beforehand, even if we were flying and in top position, it wouldn't change the significance of this game. You understand that it's a standalone fixture in that it means a hell of a lot to our supporters, to our club. So that's the focus, and that's what we've got to try and sort of really hone in on in terms of us wanting to really bring our best performance of the day so that we can make our supporters happy. And also, again, in the context of our season, it's just really important we start winning games in the league. That's where kind of the emphasis lies. I said I don't think things like turning points or significant moments. I just don't see it in that prism, particularly where we are at. We've had some pretty significant wins, and yet we haven't kicked on from them this year. So if we do get the job done tomorrow night, then we've still got to make sure that our focus then is on another challenging game on the weekend.